Hi, thank you for joining Miss Shawnene's Caring Club. I'm Miss Shawnene. Today we're going to read part 2 of The Adventures of Lulu. The title of part 2 is Lulu and Willie the Duck. Now, I know we talked last time about who the author is. Can anybody tell me what it means? What is the word author mean? If someone asks you or tells you who an author of a story is. Any guesses? If you said the author of the story is someone that writes the story, then you're right. That's what an author is, the person that writes the story. Now, second question. If you hear someone say the illustrator of a story, that's a big word, what do you think the illustrator is? Who do you think that is? What part of making a book do you think an illustrator takes part in? If you said drawing the pictures, then you're correct. The illustrator draws the pictures. I have one more question before we get started. If you hear the word characters, what do you think that means when someone's telling a story? If you say who the story's about, then that's correct. So the characters so far in our story here, just by hearing the title of Lulu and the Duck, who's the story about? That's right, it's about Lulu, that's one character, and it's about a duck. Those are our two characters that we know of so far. Maybe we can hear and think and listen in the story to hear if we hear any other characters. Okay, so let's get started.
The Adventures of Lulu. Written by Louise L. Hay and Dan Olmus. And illustrations by J.J. Smith Moore. Part 2. Lulu and Willie the Duck. Learning mirror work. If you enjoy my video, I'd love for you to share, subscribe to my channel, and like it. The sun was almost always shining on the big house, with 2 windows on each side of the front door that made it look like a happy face, with the steps leading to the porch as the smile. Lulu loved to play outside in the yard, sometimes under the trees, and sometimes on the tire swing, and sometimes with her little brother Barry. Lulu knew that there was always something fun to do, and she woke up each morning excited to find out what would happen that day. On this morning, Lulu woke to the sound of raindrops falling on the tree outside the window. She loved the rain, and as she got out of bed, she decided to show her little brother Barry the wet weather. He was very young and couldn't get out of his crib by himself yet. Barry laughed as Lulu picked him up and took him to the window. He still couldn't talk very well, and when he said Lulu's name, it sounded like woo woo, woo woo, wah wah, Barry yelled, jumping up and down. It's rain, Barry, his big sister explained. It makes the trees grow and the flowers bloom and makes everything fresh and beautiful. Barry laughed again. Suddenly, Lulu heard a sound in the distance. A funny kind of sound. Wah! Wah! Somebody was crying. Lulu thought they might be hurt, so she lifted Barry back into his crib and went downstairs to put on her raincoat. She took her umbrella with the flowers on it and hurried out the back door to see who was crying. As she walked across the lawn, she saw a frog sitting under a tree enjoying the rain. "Good morning, Mr. Frog," Lulu greeted him. "It's a beautiful morning, isn't it?"
"Beautiful, wet, and rainy," agreed Mr. Frog. "It would be perfect except for that crying."
"Do you know who it is?" Lulu asked.
"No," Mr. Frog answered, "but it's coming from the pond. Why don't we hop over there together?"
And with that he hopped off as Lulu followed behind him. As they got near the pond, the cries became louder and louder.
Wah! Wah!
Lulu listened carefully and went to a patch of tall grass. Mr. Frog jumped beside her. They both poked their heads into the grass, and sitting inside was a little yellow duck, crying his eyes out.
Wow! Woe is me!
Wailed the little duck. Lulu put her hand on the duck's head and softly stroked it. "Why are you crying?" she asked. The little fellow raised his head.
"Oh, nobody likes me! Nobody at all!"
he sobbed.
"No one?" asked the frog. "I'd say that's pretty serious."
Lulu continued to pet the little duck. "Well, I like you. What's your name?" The duckling looked up and dried his eyes.
"My name is Willie."
"Well, my name is Lulu, and this is Mr. Frog. Maybe we can help you," Lulu offered. "Why do you think no one likes you?" Willie sat up and said, "This morning I was playing ball with some of the farm animals from down the street. Gary the goat threw the ball to me, and when I tried to catch it, I tripped over my feet and fell in the mud and lost my cap. Oh, woe is me!" "But, Willie, what's so horrible about that?" Lulu asked. "It was an accident, and you didn't hurt yourself, did you?"
"No,"
Willie sniffled.
"but then Clarice the calf called me Willie Bigfoot, and everybody started laughing. They wouldn't stop, so I ran away, and now I have no more friends."
Lulu petted Willie's head some more. "Oh, Willie," she exclaimed, "don't you know that the best friend you can ever have is you?"
"But I don't like me,"
Willie cried.
"I'm dumb and clumsy."
Mr. Frog looked at Willie and laughed.
"Willie, you have no idea how many times I've tripped over my own 2 feet. Mine are much bigger than yours. It's really not such a terrible thing. It's just how you look at it. I've seen you in the pond, and you're a very good swimmer. Better than I am. That's something to be proud of."
Willie felt a little better.
"And last week I saw you rescue baby kitten when she fell into the pond. Mama Cat was so happy, and she thought you were so brave," Mr. Frog continued.
"She did?" Willie asked. "You see," Lulu added, "there are many good things about you. You just haven't been looking for them. You know what I do when I'm feeling bad?"
"What?"
Willie asked. "In my room I have a mirror, and I call it my magic mirror. Inside this mirror is my very best friend. She's always going to be there for me. And when something goes wrong, she can make me feel better. And I can make her feel better too.
But I don't have a magic mirror,
Willie said. Lulu leaned close to the little duck. I can take you to mine. Your best friend will be there too. Willie got so excited. Oh, take me to your magic mirror, please, he squealed. Okay, Lulu answered. Follow me. Do you want to go too, Mr. Frog? Mr. Frog took a look at the pond and said,
I think I'll stay here and go swimming. Nothing like a good swim in the morning. Gets the blood going, you know.
And with a splish splash, he was gone. Lulu and Willie started back toward the house. You see, Willie, Lulu began, what you think about yourself will come true. So you don't want to think bad things.
You mean I'm dumb and clumsy because I think I am?
Willie asked. Of course, Lulu answered. One time at school, I was running a race, and I was sure that I couldn't win it. I kept telling myself, oh, Lulu, you'll never win. And guess what happened?
You didn't win?
Willie gasped. Right! So the next time I decided to say over and over to myself, you can do it. You can do it. And you know what?
You won?
Willie shouted. Yes! Lulu said. It really made the difference. Finally, they arrived at Lulu's house. They walked through the front door, past the kitchen, down the hall, up the stairs, and into Lulu's room. Next to her bed, on the wall, was the magic mirror. Willie shouted with joy,
Oh, I'm going to meet my best friend! I'm going to meet my best friend!
Lulu set a chair in front of the mirror and told Willie to shut his eyes. Willie did as he was told, and Lulu put him on the chair. Okay, now when you open your eyes, you'll see your best friend. This is the person who will always be with you and who will never leave you. Open them now. Willie opened his eyes and was surprised to find that he was looking at himself. But it's just me, he said. That's right, Lulu replied. No matter what happens to you in your life, your best friend is always going to be yourself. Say something nice to yourself. Willie felt shy.
Hello,
he ventured quietly, then turned to Lulu. I don't know what to say. Tell him about the nice things that were said about you today, Lulu suggested.
You're a good swimmer, and Mama Cat thinks you're brave,
Willie said.
That's good,
Lulu encouraged him. Can you say, I love you?
That sounds silly,
Willie replied. Just try it, she pleaded. Willie looked at himself in the mirror.
Well,
he began again.
I love you, and I'm sorry that I thought you were dumb and clumsy.
And you know what? Willie felt a little better. He tried again.
I love you. I really love you.
And he felt even better. The more he said it, the better he felt. "Oh, Lulu," he cried, "I've never felt so good about myself." Lulu was so happy for Willie. Now he would know that no one is ever really alone as long as they have themselves. It was getting late now, and it was time for Willie to go home. "Oh, Lulu," Willie sighed, "I wish I could take your magic mirror with me." "You don't need to have my mirror, Willie," Lulu explained. "Any mirror will do. In fact, the pond you live in is the best mirror of all." "Thank you," he exclaimed. "Then I can look into the pond every day and see my best friend." "And you'll remember to say nice things to yourself?" Lulu asked. "Be sure to say, 'I love you. I really love you.'"
Okay, so that's the end of our part 2 of our story of Lulu and Willie the duck. So what'd you think about that? Did you figure out what mirror work is? Have you ever had a time when people weren't nice to you, when you thought people didn't like you? How did that make you feel? And what did you do to feel better? Do you feel when you look in the mirror at yourself? Do you see a friend? Do you see yourself as a good friend? I hope so, because I'm sure you're very kind and you're thoughtful and you're hardworking and all sorts of wonderful qualities. So, if you haven't looked in the mirror at yourself and said nice things to you, that's something maybe you could try. Maybe you can look in the mirror at yourself and help yourself feel better next time you're feeling sad. Maybe you can look in the mirror at yourself each morning before you start feeling sad. Maybe you can start looking at yourself in the morning before you go to school or before you go anywhere. And maybe you can learn to have a good relationship with yourself. Maybe you can look in the mirror each morning and say, "Wow, I'm a great kid. I'm a great friend. I like me." And then maybe when you are feeling sad, you can help yourself feel better too. And how are you as a friend? If someone's sad, do you help them? Are you kind? Are you caring? I hope so. I bet you are. So mirror work is when you're looking in the mirror at yourself, saying nice things to yourself. Now, that's the end of part 2. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you will try some of those things. And remember, when you're looking in the mirror or not looking in the mirror, just remember that you are so kind, you are smart, you are caring, you're respectful, you have great self-control, so you keep being that. Now give yourself a big hug. Nice job. I'll see you soon. Next time we'll do part 3. Bye for now. Mwah! If you enjoy my video, I'd love for you to share, subscribe to my channel, and like it.